Merry Christmas to you. Welcome to this week's Wednesday Wandering with me, Cate Field. That's wandering about stuff and not just wandering off. So this is my podcast where I take a moment to reflect on art, literature and just the creative threads that enrich our lives. I really hope you are well, and thank you so much for all your lovely comments on the last podcast. Thank you. So this week, as we are in the festive season, I'm turning my thoughts to one of my absolute favourite authors. I know that I said that Jane was my favourite author. My next is Charles Dickens and his timeless classic, A Christmas Carol. So Dickens for me has always been a source of comfort and joy because he is someone that I turn to in times of stress or when I just want to lose myself in the richness of a good book. Don't we all feel like that sometimes? And A Christmas Carol is without doubt one of his most beloved works. And today I want to explore the magic of Dickens' descriptions, the festivities, the food, the games, and most importantly, how he brings the relationships to life. And then we're going to dive in to the powerful story of Scrooge's redemption and ultimate joy. Of course, I can't really resist mentioning the Muppets Christmas Carol. Do you have films that you watch every year at Christmas? Because Jonathan and I do. Muppets Christmas Carol is up there because it's so faithful to the original story in so many ways. And it has so much warmth and humour, and Michael Caine is just brilliant, isn't he? He plays it totally straight, bringing the depth and gravitas to the role, even when he's surrounded by the singing frogs and dancing rats and all of that kind of stuff. I love it. It's a wonderful reminder, isn't it, of how adaptable the Dickens story is and how the message resonates across generations, I guess. So, okay, let's really now focus, because I've wandered off. I went on a little journey in my mind there. The festive spirit in Dickens's world, because I think few writers can conjure up the warmth and the spirit of the season quite like Dickens. So throughout the descriptions, you can feel the cracking of the fire, can't you? You can smell the spices. I mean, his descriptions of food is out of this world. It's just brilliant. And then how he describes joy and laughter and families gathering together is just superb. So let's take, for example, the Cratchit family's Christmas feast. I love it. And when I get to that bit in the book, I read it twice, maybe 3 times, because he paints the scene so vividly. You can taste the goose, the sage, the onions, the sweet pudding, and that whole pudding description is amazing. And it's that despite their poverty, the Cratchit table overflows with love and gratitude. And it's one of those little poignant things that Dickens puts into all of his stories, that true wealth isn't found in the material things, but in the relationships that we cherish. There's the merriment in Fred's Christmas party, so Fred, Scrooge's nephew, and the simple games and the warm conversations and the fun and the humour and the kind of the cheekiness that goes on. It's a real contrast to the solitary and self-imposed isolation of Scrooge at the beginning of the story. And this is where it becomes, I feel, it is just so deep. The depth of his characters in such a short story, I think, comes through his dialogue. And I love Dickens' dialogue. The conversations he has his characters having is just amazing. He brings them to life. He reveals their personalities and their values, their flaws, not just in what they do, but in how they speak. And how they speak with each other. And so I'm just thinking about the contrasts between Fred's party, which is just glorious, isn't it? And that grim scene of the group scavenging Scrooge's possessions in The Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come. And In Fred's party, the dialogue is it's lively and affectionate, full of laughter, good-natured fun and teasing. And Fred's warmth and optimism shine through, as it shines through the whole book, but in this party in particular, because he speaks about his Uncle Scrooge. But even when he's joking about Scrooge's miserly ways, his hope is that Scrooge might one day join the celebration. You know, Fred is so loving and forgiving and has such a generous spirit. Oh, it's just heartwarming, isn't it? It's just, I love Fred. Oh, let's compare that to the scavengers conversation. Cold, transactional, devoid of any respect or kindness. It's callous, cold. Their words about Scrooge reveal the tragic emptiness of a life lived without connection or compassion. And Dickens uses these exchanges to show us the profound consequences of Scrooge's choices. Also, the potential joy that he could embrace if he changes. And that is the point, isn't it? I'm just thinking of other conversations. I'm just looking at my notes. Yeah. Another wonderful dialogue is the interaction with the two gentlemen who are collecting for the charity. They appear both at the beginning of the book and at the end. So at the beginning, Scrooge is dismissive, he's cutting. You know, his remarks are cold. Are there no prisons? Are there no workhouses? They're so chilling, aren't they, in their lack of humanity. But at the end, oh my gosh, that beautiful moment of redemption. Scrooge finds them, he seeks them out, not only to make a generous donation, but to offer his heartfelt apology. And it's this act of kindness showing this transformation of Scrooge. But not just a transformation, his expansive forgiveness that Dickens believes is possible. Because Scrooge doesn't just change his ways. He acknowledges his wrongs and he makes amends. And that is the point. That is the point that Dickens is making all the time. This joy of redemption. And I think that this is what makes A Christmas Carol so enduringly powerful. It's a message of hope and redemption. So Scrooge has this amazing transformation, and it's that reminder that it's never too late. It's never too late to change, to open our hearts, to seek forgiveness, and to just embrace joy. That wonderful bit where Scrooge just kind of like, he's like a child, isn't he? Dances. That I honestly think that these closing scenes of this story are the most uplifting in all of literature. Scrooge becomes a man reborn. His heart is overflowing with generosity and gratitude. He joins Fred's Christmas celebration. You know, he turns up, "Will you let me in, nephew?" And he provides for the Cratchits, and we learn that he takes Tiny Tim into his care and becomes an uncle to him. Dickens describes Scrooge's newfound happiness with such exuberance. He became as good a friend, as good a master, and as good a man as the good old city knew. Isn't that wonderful? And Michael Caine's Scrooge, he does capture that redemption beautifully in the Muppets Christmas Carol. If you haven't watched it, you must. It's wonderful. His transformation is so heartfelt and sincere, and it never feels out of place among those antics of Gonzo and Rizzo. And sorry, just had to mention the Muppets Christmas Carol. But by the end, you can't help feeling uplifted. You just can't. So whether you are reading the novel or watching the adaptations, whatever you are doing this Christmas, my little Wednesday wandering for you is, as I sit down with A Christmas Carol this December, as I do every December, I find myself reflecting on its timeless message Dickens reminds us to treasure our relationships, to find joy in those simple pleasures of life, and to keep our hearts open to change, no matter our age or our circumstances. So, as we celebrate Christmas this year, let's take a moment to embrace the spirit of generosity, forgiveness, and hope that Dickens so beautifully captures. And maybe, just maybe, we can keep a bit of Scrooge's final joy with us all year long. How wonderful would that be? And if you haven't liked this video and you've got this far, that would be really lovely. Please leave a little comment below, perhaps just a heart if you don't know what to write, a little Merry Christmas, and let me know whether you'll be reading any Dickens this year, or whether perhaps I've inspired you to go and find another book. And thank you. Thank you for joining me for this week's Christmas Wednesday Wandering. And until next time, take care, keep creating, and as Tiny Tim so famously said, God bless us, everyone. Bye-bye.